are finally into the picks and bans. This is the first semi-final game for the TowerDiveTV weekly number 24. Ladies and gentlemen, this is LunetTheHerald casting today here with Mystriopolis. Remember guys, we've got a new website right now. It is in open beta, which means you can go ahead and check it out on TowerDive.tv. That's right, it's just TowerDive.tv. So feel free to go over there and check it out. All kinds of info about the casters, ways that you can go ahead and support TowerDiveTV, a little bit about us, and of course contact forms in case you guys ever have any questions for us. And now we can actually get into the bans. So we see Twisted Fate and Thresh being taken off the board immediately.
Yes, we do. Two very strong, one being a very strong support role, and one being quite a strong mid laner, but although I have known Twisted Fates to go AD carry sometimes, but you mostly see Twisted Fate in the mid lane, dealing out quite a bit of damage, and being able to push separate lanes with that ultimate of his. Also seeing the Blitzcrank come down as a typical ban. Also another very strong support champion right there.
Yeah, Twisted Fate is a very nice ban to see coming out. You know, TF is one of those champions where he's got a lot of global pressure, and unless he gets counterpicked and shut down very hard in his lane, he's able to just at any point in time, once he hits 6, roam to any lane. And with a Shen involved, you know, we see the Shen ban coming out, you could see a 1v2 situation immediately turn to a 3v2, or a 2v2 turn into a 2v4, so a lot of power coming out from Twisted Fate. Absolutely valid ban. We see Blitzcrank and Shen being banned out. Blitzcrank still considered to be one of those solo queue all-stars, and Shen, you know, I really feel like he's fallen off quite a bit lately. He's just not picked as much anymore. He's not even really a ban-worthy champion. There are much more worthy champions to be banned out because I can totally talk today. But, you know, they are kind of taking out any options for global control by banning out these champions. And then for the purple team, Thresh, Volibear, and Elise being taken off the board. What do you think of these bans?
Well, we can already tell that Thresh, I believe, was a pretty much stab at the other team there. Thresh being used in the last game, being a great support. Obviously, the player knows how to play Thresh very well as a support role. Also seeing the Volibear and the Elise. Now, Volibear is one of those champions that I believe has come out as an underdog. He was really underestimated for ages, and then suddenly he's found a new rekindled spirit, and people have just been playing him a lot more, and suddenly he's been found to be banned a lot more in these games just because of that jungle presence he's suddenly providing, as well as that tankiness and that passive. Elise, a very strong top laner, able to dish out a ton hell of damage in a single burst, as well as being able to pick off champions. Pretty much like a hit and run champion, being able to pick off the squishy targets and then getting out of there as quick as possible. We can already see the two teams starting their picks as well. Lunet, can you take us through these?
I can, but first I have to sit in a corner and cry because the team that's called Lunet's Army didn't pick Lulu.
Oh no!
My birthday is ruined now. GG, that's it. I give up.
GG.
Stream goes off. No more TowerDiveTV. I'm done here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man.
I'm gonna have to be solo casting for this now. Sorry, guys.
Oh, but you know, blue team is picking up that Karthus, Jarvan, and Lulu. This alone is a very strong combination, despite what else they might be picking out. It provides a lot of presence in the team fights that is very, very hard to deal with. You have Jarvan coming in with his ultimate. Jarvan, a champion considered to be basically a better Amumu. He's got a better early game presence, provides a lot of CC, and has very, very potent ganks throughout the entire game. Karthus, though, coming in with that ultimate that Jarvan is going to be laying out, will be doing a lot of damage. His kit just allowing him to put out a lot of AoE damage for anybody trapped inside the vicinity. And of course, Lulu coming out not only as a potential savior to Karthus to keep him up at least a little bit longer, but also as Jarvan, who's going to be taking a lot of the brunt of the damage when he goes in and just launches off a 5-man ultimate.
Yes, indeed. And now we can see, on the purple side, we see Lux, Sona, Hecarim, and Caitlyn. Quite strong picks at the moment, mostly females, I must say, which is kind of interesting for our Lunet's army, with only a Doom Pony as the pretty much, I guess I could call him a male there. Sona, quite an interesting support, being able to poke the enemy quite far down, as well as supporting that utility as a support, the heal, and the stun. Lux, really strong mid lane champion at the moment, I must say, being able to dish out a hell of damage with just a simple combo of skill shots. And if you can land that set of skill shots as well as those auto attacks, she can just push out one enemy after another and deal a hell of AoE damage as well with that Lucent Singularity. We also see that the Doom Pony is in the team there, being able to run out from the jungle, having quite really good ganks, pushing enemies back, setting up possible good engagements as well as really nice initiations with that ultimate of his. We also see that Caitlyn and Garen have got picked up on the purple team as well.
I'm really scared for Lunet's army right now. Looking at the blue team going up against this comp is not something that I would ever want to do. They have got a very strong AoE team. Okay, so here's how a team fight is gonna break down. Jarvan's gonna engage with his ultimate. Varus is immediately gonna follow up with an easy to land skill shot that's going to end up trapping the enemy team that is trying to come in order to essentially fight Jarvan. Whether it links on to one or two people doesn't even matter. Lulu's going to end up knocking up and saving anybody who they try to get onto and essentially instigate, being it Varus or Jarvan or even Karthus, and Vladimir is going to be sitting back with his ultimate, doing as much damage as he possibly can and increasing the damage overall for his team. Varus has a really solid damage kit that he's able to put out this even after his ultimate, so this all in all is a very scary team comp to be dealing with right now. An amazing AoE team comp. You know, usually we think AoE, we think hard CC like a Mumu ultimates and Sona ultimates, but this is another way you can run an AoE comp with the snares coming out that's going to be just as potent, if not more so. So, final roster for the blue team going to be Lulu, Varus, Jarvan, Vladimir, and Karthus. Purple team will have Sona, Caitlyn, Hecarim, Lux, and Garen.
Oh, well, I have to agree with you on the AoE. Different way of showing off a really good AoE comp. A lot of, I say, not much as CC as we see in many of the team comps, but wow, the damage coming out from each one. And it's not just that, the fact that you have Hemoplague in there, which stacks up everyone's damage, not just Vladimir's. So Karthus's kit is going to be so much more stronger when Hemoplague is on at least everyone, especially if Jarvan gets all 5 of them in his Cataclysm. That's going to be really tough to deal with. So best thing the red team can do right now is just stay separated and just try to do their best to not get caught up in that ultimate combo.
We will have to see what happens though, and now that we are in the delay, we can go ahead and take down those summoner blockers. We can see Lulu taking Ignite and Flash, and something similar that we saw last time was the fact that we had Lux taking Exhaust and Flash going into the mid lane. I believe we're going to see the same thing here with the Karthus. Lulu going to go and take that Ignite actually to go ahead and go down into the bot lane. And we see Friendly Daddy picking up Ignite as well. This is something we were talking about earlier, but supports, it's becoming more and more standard for them to pick up Ignite, which was not something we saw at all in Season 2. The reason is because things like Barrier and Cleanse are becoming more common, as Barrier was introduced as a really potent spell in Season 3. So what we're seeing here is the shift away from Ignite for AD carries for more defensive spells, whereas the supports are actually taking up Ignite now to do as much damage as they possibly can and enable those early game kills.
This is entirely true. The amount of poke that both teams need to have in that bot lane as well is crucial to the advance of the AD carries. If they can land a Ignite after one of the defensive spells has popped, it means that the support can at least get the assist for their AD carry, which is at least a little bit of gold to get them a bit buffed, and that's pretty much what it's about, getting your AD carry to the later stages of the game as quick as possible. Well,
something to keep in mind though is that it's not bad for supports to get kills in the early game. It's not necessarily optimal, but it's not a bad thing either. If a support picks up an early kill, whether they're going for a GP10 oriented build or a Sightstone into Kindle Gem build, what we're going to see is a support who's able to get those items quickly and is going to have a greater presence in the lane, both through survivability and ward coverage. So Early kills on support's not necessarily a bad idea. I wouldn't say that getting them after the 10-minute mark is really going to be helpful, but not bad overall. Something that I actually want to check, though, on this Lulu, before we get through the delay timer, I want to check out the runes and masteries right now, just to see what they're running. Running a 23 armor page, 3 GP10, and 8 magic resist on the part of this Lulu. So we're likely going to see a GP10 oriented build coming out from her, and I also want to see what Sona is running right now. MR, armor, health, mana regen, and GP10. This is really a nice bulky Sona page coming out to try and compensate for that lack of early game health, a lack of decent armor scaling, and of course no MR scaling, which, I mean, supports don't have. So really nice to see coming out from the Sona to try and compensate for her champion's weakness, especially in the early game.
Very much so, very much so. And now we're coming straight in Wars and Barrier Intimidations. I could do that backwards as well. Either way, it works.
Did you say Barrier Intimidations?
I said Barrier Intimidations. I meant the Border Intimidations. But I actually meant to say Skin Intimidations and Border Wars. But I managed to get all my words backwards.
I'm so proud
win
of
for
you right now,
Mystriopolis.
Mystery.
I know.
I mean,
I know.
It's something we were saying in Champ Select, though, but the kid is obviously a smurf. He's plat, he's got no border from last season, he's obviously a smurf, especially with only 60 normal wins. So, nothing really surprising coming out from that, but it looks like, you know, both teams rocking some pretty banners, but I have to give it to Lunet's army just because, I mean, they've got almost all diamond borders, and they're really pretty, and they're definitely named Lunet's army.
They are indeed. We see in the Lunet's army as well, one of probably my favorite skin combination, the Steel Legion, coming into this right now. We got Steel Legion Lux and Steel Legion Garen heavily descending upon the enemy team. However, I will give it to the other team as well, as we are seeing Bloodlord Vladimir and Warring Kingdoms Jarvan, another 2 skins I quite like as well. But one bonus for the our team is that they've got Headless Hecarim.
They also have them use Sona skin, which I'm sorry, and people are gonna hate me for saying this, is still the best Sona skin in existence, and nobody can debate me on that fact. It's awesome. It's got really big assets. That is all. Anyways, moving on to other things, you know, I really want Lunet's army to win, obviously, because I'm biased towards them, because I mean, they're kind of awesome, but when we look at the overall team comps, it's going to be really rough for them to make it out of these engagements alive. So we've got Sona who can try and disengage with her ultimate, but it's going to be difficult because of how squishy she is. She's not really going to have that bulk to stand up to the kind of damage that the blue team can put out. Caitlyn is going to have a little bit of disengage. She can go ahead and sit back into the back of the fight, but Hecarim is one of those champions where he's going to either use his ult to go in for a full blown out engage, or he's going to have to use it to disengage and get away. But there's no real disengage presence from his ultimate coming out from that fear. You know, he can go in without it and then try and run out by proccing that fear onto people, but it's not going to be as good as, say, somebody like if they had a Nami support who could go ahead and throw out that tidal wave and everything would be hunky-dory. It'd slow the enemy team down, it'd give them a knock-up, and as well as speed boosting your own team to help them get out of there. So it might be rough for them. I think that Lux will have some good disengage. Garen's gonna be okay because he's Garen, obviously, but overall I'm scared for their team, because if the blue team gets to the team fight phase and is able to just get off a single full blown out engage, it'll turn the entire game back into their favor, and they're gonna be able to run with it. Also, yeah, Silent Knight Sona is adorable. I wish I had it and or could get it, because Sona's one of my favorite champions. Fun fact, back towards the beginning of Season 3, before Taric became really popular, over 20 games, I had like a 95% win ratio with Sona. It was awesome. But oh no, Karth is coming out here, and it looks like they will go ahead and try and go in on him. And there we go, the light binding going out, and this is going to be a first blood for Lunet's army.
Yay for Lunet's team, managing to pick up that first blood very quickly. Karth is a little too close for comfort, ending up in the wrong place at the wrong time where the entire Lunet's team was.
It's time to turn off the caster bias and like actually go into casting the game like I didn't actually know or was rooting for these people, just because I mean they have an awesome name and
they do.
Yeah,
they do. It comes down to the fact This is where Lunet's army is going to be on top. I think if Lunet's army you can either go two ways. Either they pick off some of the enemies like they did in that early engagement and shut them down by picking them off one by one before they get to their strong team comp of or their ultimate combo, or they get the jump on the other team. I think if they do execute those two things, I think Lunet's army may have a chance, but I will agree that the blue team has quite the scary team comp because of the fact of all those ultimates, because of the fact that they synergize so well with one another.
Yeah, the thing they're going to have to be careful about is they want to win the laning phase right here. That's essentially what they have to go for. They have to go ahead and shut down the blue team as quickly as possible in the laning phase. Don't allow Karthus to snowball. Don't allow Vlad to snowball. The same goes for Varus. You don't want to be feeding kills to any of them. Instead, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and shut them down with potent ganks coming out from Hecarim. The one thing that Hecarim does have going for him, though, is that, I mean, despite his nerf, he's an incredible late-game scaling jungler. So he's still got potent ganks in the early game that he can go ahead and pull off. The same goes for Jarvan, but they want to win this laning phase, and it looks like there's a lot of damage going down in the bot lane right now. Daddy and that Caitlyn, unfortunately, just taking so much poke from Varus Lulu right now.
There is a lot of damage going down indeed. They just seem to have so much more presence compared to Caitlyn and Sona. I think that Sona and Caitlyn getting a little too close for comfort. Maybe to try and poke the other team, they need to just play it safe right now until they're until they're in a better place to be able to get off a perfect kill. Maybe when Hecarim is nearby. I don't know. We'll just have to see.
And I like what the bot lane is doing right now. They've got a bit of an advantage in terms of level right now, and they're kind of abusing it because Sona, she doesn't get that heal into level 2, so they're doing their best to try and poke and poke and poke and poke, and you saw that in the level 1, and now what's happening is that they're back under their tower. Caitlyn can't take another skill shot or she's going to end up dying. And Sona is worse for wear in terms of mana because, I mean, she's having to concentrate solely on protecting. Oh, and here we go, the Ignite, and there we go. Lulu picking up that kill with the Ignite, and Lux is in the back end of this, coming in and getting a kill down on to Varus. But now Jarvan in here too, and the Flash Cleanse will come out from Caitlyn, getting her out of that knockup. But here we go. It looks like the kid will also fall. Caitlyn picking up that kill, and now Lulu running away as quickly as possible. The binding coming out, she will have to flash out of it, and now Hecarim getting out of here, and this is what I'm talking about. You dominate those early lanes, you've got a roaming mid right now, you go ahead and secure it so that those late game team fights are not nearly as scary as they could be.
That is true. That first blood on Karthus pretty much just gave them the first bit of presence that they needed to be able to win this early game. It did mean that Karthus has to stay mid, which means it gives Lux an advantage to be able to roam to the other lanes. Sad to say that the blue team did not react quick enough to when Lux came down. Jarvan did try to counter-engage the engagement, but Hecarim was right on top of that as well. Red team already showing that they are not in a place to lose this match.
Yep, and we do see them have about a 500 gold advantage right now, so they're going to be sitting pretty with that at the moment. Meanwhile, everybody just kind of returning to farming at the moment. You know, everybody kind of reevaluating where they need to go from here, and Varus and Lulu are going to have to play very, very defensively right now because that is a double buff Kate. She's just going to be able to spam her spells the entire game, going out with that Piltover Peacemaker to try and land as much poke as possible, and of course the slows coming out from those that red buff in her auto attacks is not going to be something that's going to be fun to deal with.
Absolutely. I'll say at the moment, Caitlyn really needed that advantage. I think they were kind of playing a little bit of the bait game here. They were waiting just in time so that their gank would be as most effective as possible. Blue team getting a little too greedy, trying to go for that Caitlyn, trying to go for that Sona as well, which they did eventually get, but Lux coming straight in there to help get a perfect set of kills on the bot lane.
Yeah, and we did see a gank in the top lane going off. Garen coming up and doing his best to damage Vlad. Unfortunately, that troll pool coming out. And, you know, nothing going to happen there aside from the fact that Vlad backed. And that's going to be something very beneficial to him. But, oh, in the bot lane, Jarvan coming in. And there we go. This will easily be a kill on to Oh, Caitlyn, but it looks like Sona is going to make it out of here. That's the one thing, you know, they don't have ward presence in the tri-brush right now. They don't have it far enough back in the lane, so they can't see when Jarvan is coming up for these straight-up lane ganks right now. Just something that they're going to have to be more careful of within the next couple of minutes in order to make that laning presence as effective as possible and minimize any damage like that.
Absolutely, and it's just down to the fact that they were getting, I think, Red Team are now getting a little bit too on their heels right now. They won their early engagement, but they went a bit too far. They didn't have many wards around the area, like near the tri-bush, where they could have been properly lane ganked, and that is basically what the blue team took advantage of to pick up that early kill, or another kill on Caitlyn, which is putting Caitlyn at her first death of the game.
The thing is, though, is that the red team, they don't have this gold advantage anymore. What they're seeing is a situation where we look at the bot lane and look at Varus' CS of sitting at almost 50, and then we look at Caitlyn only sitting at around 30 right now. We see in the mid lane Karthus out farming this Lux, and in the top lane Vladimir keeping up very well with Garen. So what we're seeing is that the early advantages that came out with that first blood, with those early kills, is being negated by the farm right now, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And Hecarim coming in here for the gank, but the ultimate coming out from Varus will very, very nicely disengage from that. And oh, the flash coming out from Varus as the Hecarim ulti goes down, and now Sona feeling quite the brunt of Varus' kit right now. She will get down very low, but a nice heal will manage to get her out of there. But the Karthus all going down. It will not manage to take her out. That heal saving her life. Oh, how nice is that? It looks like Caitlyn coming in here with a bit of extra damage. She's got enough mana for her ultimate. Unfortunately, not level 6 right now, so she's not going to manage to net any kills from that. But Lux coming up from behind here. We may see the snipe with the laser. Let's go ahead and see if we can actually get that down. No, the light binding going, or the Lucent Singularity going out, but it is not enough. They have already backed, and Lux will be forced to back from this point.
In that situation, Lux was in the right place, but I don't think she was there quite at the right time. She probably made the right move in the fact that she didn't guess her laser. In fact, her laser was on cooldown, so she couldn't really even laser at the time. This is wasting her time as well with these ganks. They're good ganks if they can get something, but right now, Karthus is pushing her lane quite heavily. She is doing her best to try and support the bot lane as much as she can, but she needs to keep in her own lane as well, as Karthus is now quite nicely out farming her.
Yeah, Karthus out farming. We've got a situation where Varus is out farming, and Vladimir and Garen are tied right now. So we see that this minor kill differential is not making any real impact onto the game. And Sona coming down for these wards, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about where they need to be placed, but the Cataclysm will go down. Sona's simply going to flash out of that saying, no, just absolutely not, and then walking away. So she unfortunately will not have that flash for quite some time. Jarvan's ultimate going to be up relatively soon. He still has quite a bit of CC coming out with that knock-up.
He does indeed, and we can already see that the blue team is pressing on the bot lane right now. They've been pressing on that bot lane quite hard all game. It's been denying Caitlyn the farm that she needs pretty much all game. It's why Varus has been out farming her quite as hard. The Varus has a lot of long-range poke, which is enough, and here we go.
Here we go, down in the bot lane, the Hecarim ulti coming out, and here we go, Lux is even here to try and help. The Lulu ultimate coming out, but the Fear will go down onto Varus, and they will manage to take him out. And here we go, the ultimate coming out from Caitlyn. It will not quite be enough to take out Lulu, but it will take her down very low. And in the top lane, we do have the Ignites gone down from both parties. Garen ultimate coming out will manage to pick him up. And a flash burn by Garen, maybe fat finger flash there. But oh, that poor Vladimir. Thought he had that in the bag, but no, that Garen ultimate just turning the tide of everything.
And we can already see that the first turret of the game is going to Lunet's army, taking that bot turret right there, 4v2 in that bot lane. Lulu sticking around to help Jarvan as much as she could, but eventually did have to back as she was low. Jarvan was not enough to be able to stop that bot lane from being taken, and it does mean that the red team may be able to pick up a dragon.
It looks like they're going to back off, though. The threat of Karthus here in a small enclosed space, plus his ultimate being back up, is not something to be trifled with, despite the number advantage that they have. So a smart move by them to back off right now, though it may mean leaving the dragon open for the blue team. And now we're in a situation where they're nearly forced to contest, but in the top lane, it looks like we've got another turret going down, and now Daddy forced to run away. But here we go. In here, we have the crescendo coming out, Lux coming in, now laser being fired off. And oh, the red team grabbing the dragon on top of that kill onto Jarvan, and it looks like, yep, that will be a very, very dead Hecarim as the Karthus ultimate goes out. But Lulu in a bad situation here too, as she is also picked off in a 3-for-1 exchange that resulted both in dragon and a tower.
So much stuff going right now. Red team in a very strong position right now. They are pretty much 5 kills ahead with a very nice 3k or pretty much 4k gold lead, or at least coming up to a 4k gold lead right now. They're 2 towers ahead. Red team really strong in front, and this is where they pretty much have to be right now to be able to win this game. They need to keep this up, keep them denied, keep them as CC'd as possible, stop them from getting that combo off to be able to win this game.
Yeah, they're really trying to shut them hard down in the laning phase, and they're doing just that, taking a concentration on objectives like towers and dragon to optimize their gold advantage on top of picking up those kills. It's a really smart move. They're essentially trying to gather as much gold as possible, saying, hey, we've got to be really, really strong for when these team fights come up. We don't want to have to deal with that, and it's working out really well for them right now. You see them sitting at 2 towers, and like you said, they've got that gold advantage going on right now, so they're not hurting for items, despite the fact that not too long ago they were really far behind in farm. It was actually starting to give the blue team an advantage, so really nice pickup by them. They knew exactly when to disengage and then re-engage on that dragon fight, and it's really swung the entire game back into their favor. So we'll have to see what results from this. As you can see, the red team clearly done with the laning phase right now, but it looks like the blue team still kind of stuck into their lanes. They really don't want to have to team fight quite yet. They know they're not strong enough, so they're sticking to these lanes right now. But what's happening is that the red team is executing pressure all around the map, and you can see they're about to grab this mid lane turret. But oh, here we go for the engage, and it looks like the Lux laser coming out, and Garen coming in with his ultimate for a bit of extra damage down onto Karthus, and here we go. The ultimate's coming out from both Varus as well as Sona falling, as well as Jarvan, and here we go. Caitlyn will fall as well to that Karthus, and we can see the real potency of these team fights coming out, the slow coming out from Karthus with that wall of pain as the rest just disengage in a 2-for-1 exchange.
Caitlyn and Sona staying a little too long, I believe, within that Karthus defile there. That ring being quite strong in the fact that it can just deal, if you stay in it too long, you will take a lot of damage, and you will find yourself in a position where you can't really fight anymore. Caitlyn staying, in fact, a bit too long, which resulted in her death.
And here we go, Hecarim going in with his ultimate, but it looks like Lux in a very bad position right now. Garen trying to come up here to do something, but he may end up falling as well. And no, there we go. It looks like Garen is going to fall. Vladimir getting very low, but getting out of there still. And this is one of the things that we're seeing. Their team fight presence is so strong. They cannot pick fights like this.
They really can't. In fact, they were staying a little bit too long. They kept backing in and out a bit too much. They should have just got the hell out of there when they could, when they lost the first fight. But they seemed to wanted to get a few kills before they left, and that's what led to their downfall. They can't be greedy like this.
There are a couple of issues that really came from that fight, one of them being that Garen went ahead and used his ultimate while he was fairly healthy. So he went to get that extra damage chunk onto Karthus, but in reality, if he had saved it for a bit later, he would have been in a much better position. And now in the top lane, we can see Hecarim and Jarvan kind of duking it out right here, but poor Hecarim going to be on the losing end of this. Now Vladimir here, there's not going to be really much to defend this turret unless Garen rather can get up here fairly quick and go ahead and help Hecarim defend against this 2-man push. I say as Jarvan gets done backing.
And here and in the mid lane we can see Lux already grabbing that blue buff, gonna get that cooldown reduction and that mana regen. Quite strong on a Lux, especially when you want to pop that laser as much as possible to push lanes, or even just to snipe off a kill. Lux being a really strong champion to be able to do that, picking up quite a few kills with that laser of hers, especially throughout a lot of these team fights I've seen. She's dealt a lot of damage with just a single combination of 2 abilities.
An excellent point. We do see Lux picking up that Athene's right now. She's got quite a bit of CDR that she's sitting on. And of course, that Seeker's Arm Guard coming out is an interesting choice, most likely only there to help counter some of the damage coming out from Varus as well as Jarvan. She's against a double AP comp right now, so unless she's really needing that Zhonya's for that 3-second immunity, there's not too many other reasons to invest into that. But Hecarim gonna go ahead and get out of here, taking quite a bit of damage against 3 team members. Lux, of course, assisting with that as they push down on this mid lane.
And it seems that the blue team is going to be grouping up now, prepared for... Oh, and we have a little bit of a pause now. I think something's going on. A little bit of lag for the Lunets army there. We have to keep them in tip-top shape.
Go ahead and tell me. I'm so sorry. I just yawned on stream. How rude am I? But go ahead and tell me what's going on in the chat, because I can't actually see it. I had to turn it off because somebody decided they wanted to be a butthole and message me during games.
Of course, of course, of course.
That's why we can't have nice things.
We have a few happy birthdays going down to you, Miss Lunets. A few people discussing when their birthdays, but with a few couple happy birthdays throwing down, I believe, to either you or a few others that are having their birthday within April this month.
Yay, it's my birthday! I'm so happy. I say as then, you know, I'm gonna end up running a marathon today instead of going out with friends or family because I love you guys, and I would rather sit home and play video games and hang out with my internet friends than actually go out. Oh man. Good times, good times.
I am going to throw this out there as well. This Monday is Rotom's birthday as well.
Happy
got
birthday,
his
Rotom.
birthday coming on Monday. Coming this coming week. So happy birthday to him.
Yay!
We hope you have a lovely day.
Yay! In the meantime, though, back to talking about this game. It might have been a mistake for Lunet's army to go ahead and end the laning phase as quick as they did. They had a severe dominance in the laning phase that we were seeing when they were just contesting objectives, but now we see everybody grouping up and really kind of fighting over this mid lane. I think even if they had hung on to the turrets for just a little while longer, they would have been able to execute a number of more kills in the lanes through potent ganks coming around from Hecarim and Lux, especially in that bot lane. It would have helped them to further an advantage that they're not really seeing now.
Absolutely, I entirely agree with the point that was made there. A lot of the stuff that's happening right now is the fact that red team is engaging maybe a little bit too early. The blue team is perfectly counting engaging on their engagement. They're getting themselves a little bit too caught up, and they're staying a little bit too long as well, I must say. That a lot of the engagements I've been seeing, they've been staying a little bit too long and getting themselves picked up because of it. They're a little bit too close to the blue base to be able to be sticking around for as long as they are after engagements, especially when they've got beaten from an engagement as well.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens here. You can see the blue team, they're now ready. They're like, okay, so they want to end the laning phase. We're just going to group up and team fight at this point. We know we've got a bit of an advantage when it comes to a full-on 5v5 here. And the red team responding to this also by grouping up. We're just going to really have to see what happens in these ensuing team fights, because it's going to be a huge tide turner, really, whoever takes home this next team fight. Now, we are getting back into the pause, so I'm going to go ahead and hit this jump to live button. There's going to be a slight stagger there, and here we go back to live.
I'm going to jump to the back to live button as well. I'm a little bit behind. I think I'm a minute behind at the moment, but nothing I can do about that, so not too bad there. We
Why are you
have
a
got
minute
the
behind?
Not a minute behind, sorry, a second behind. Oh,
Okay.
not anymore, I'm live now. I can't read time anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, I suck at reading time. Quoted missed 2013.
I have nothing else to say, and here we go. Lux going out with the full combo is going to go ahead and damage Karthus quite heavily. He will be forced to back off. Varus missing his ultimate, and this is really when the red team needs to engage. They've got the Varus ulti down, and Karthus looking very low right here. They need to take this opportunity to try and grab anybody that they can on the part of the blue team and engage in a 4v5. The problem is that everybody is sitting under their turrets right now. They don't really have that opportunity to come in and just go for a full blown out attack.
This is incredibly true. They are trying to, at the moment, instead poke them down with
oh no,
Team
and here we
Bomb.
go, Jarvan going in with that Cataclysm coming out, Hecarim coming in, but a nice crescendo followed up by Sona, and here we go, the Hecarim ulti going down. Jarvan will fall as well as Caitlyn, and now Karthus just running around doing his best to out-damage this team right now. Sona and Hecarim forced to back off, as well as this Lux, but no, a Troll Pool will manage to avoid that damage, and here we go with the Karthus ult. It will secure the double kill there, and oh, what a fight. A 1-for-4 exchange in the favor of the blue team.
The combination of Karthus' Defile and I believe Vladimir's Hemoplague being the main bane of a lot of the damage that was dealt. They let Karthus roam in between them for a little bit too long. No one really capitalized on that Karthus. A lot of the damage actually went onto the Jarvan in that engagement, which is not really what you want to be doing. You want to be focusing the more squishier targets first before you go with the person who's basically up front and tanking. I know that seems difficult sometimes, but unless you do, they're just going to run over you.
Yeah, they're in a really difficult position there, especially after Karthus back. You know, Lux had a really nice catch out with both that Light Binding Lucent Singularity followed up by her ultimate to nearly just kill Karthus entirely. But when they were out of 4v5, despite the fact that it was under turret, they really needed to take some opportunity to engage. Even though Karthus could have sat back and used his ulti, anything would have been better than the mass amounts of damage he could actually put out by being in that fight, and that's kind of what we saw there, was everybody just sitting in his damage and just how badly that ended. But now we see a dragon that most likely isn't going to be contested here. We see Lux coming in with the Light Binding, the Bear's ultimate coming out, followed up by Vladimir, and that will be a very dead Lux here. Sona going to follow very quickly after. She's unfortunately very squishy and will immediately fall to Varus.
The red team getting a little bit too close for comfort there, getting picked off so quickly, and the blue team capitalizing on the fact that they had a bit of bad positioning there, picking up 2 kills because of it. Not very good for Lunet's army here.
No, they're just not in a good position right now. We're seeing situations where, I mean, they don't have the ability to compete with these team fights. They just don't. You know, that was something we talked about in Champ Select. They don't have the strongest team fighting comp compared to the blue team right now. And we're looking at a situation where they might have ended laning phase a little bit too early, and now we can see really the kind of damage that they're dealing with because of that. It's not something that they can control, so unless they can get some lockets out here to try and deaden the AoE damage going down from this Karthus, as well as maybe even an Aegis to deal with the double AP, they're not going to be able to tank out these damages in fights. That totally was said as elegantly as possible, just like everybody to know.
Lunet giving her best to explain the situation as it is. But I entirely agree with you. Red team in a very bad position at the moment. They had that early advantage where they were doing so well, and but as you said, they ended the early game way too early and transitioned it into mid game too early, and blue team capitalized this so much they grouped straight up and did exactly what they needed to do, and because of that, blue team have now managed to stretch their hand back into this game, and red team are falling a little bit too behind right now. They need to pick themselves back up again and focus on maybe a more surprising engagement, or picking them off as they were last time, because in straight up team fights it's not really going to work.
Yeah, one of the things we have to see right now is the blue team. They need to keep their distance from Jarvan, because when Jarvan jumps in, he's going to be the main initiator. They're not going to necessarily start out the initiation with a Varus ultimate. They want the hard crowd control that's going to come up from locking up everybody in a tight space. So one of the options they might have is keeping their distance from Jarvan and using Lux and Caitlyn, maybe even Caitlyn's ultimate, to just hammer in as much damage onto the enemy team as possible. They have to wait out through this and then go go ahead and engage after the poke has come down. But we see Uncle in a bad position right here. He's going to be forced to just back out as he gets down below half health. So one of the things I want to see, like I was just saying, is more poke going down. We saw Lux go ahead and nearly take out that Karthus in an earlier engagement, but we need more things like that coming out from the red team right now. They don't have the best poke comp with only Lux and Caitlyn in here right now, but they could certainly make something out of it if they went ahead and kept their distance from Jarvan.
Absolutely. One other thing I want to point out is they need to keep their distance not only from Jarvan, but I think from Karthus as well, as a lot of Karthus' kit is based on low range damage. That Defile only has a certain range around him, and those mines only can be fired a certain distance away from him. So pretty much Karthus is going to be sticking quite close to Jarvan in these engagements, so if you stay pretty much away from these two, they're going to be pretty good. And they have the range to do that as well. They have Lux and Caitlyn, which have quite a good range on their attacks to be able to avoid any engagements coming from Karthus and Jarvan's combination.
The one thing that is nice is that as this game goes on, Lux is going to get more and more potent. Her ability to just catch somebody out and burst them down, you know, so matter-of-factly is going to be really important. And that's one of the things that is going to be really crucial, especially going down onto this Karthus. Karthus and Varus being the best choices for that, simply because they're going to be squishy enough to really allow that instantaneous burst coming out from Lux. And it's really something that we need to see here. You know, Karthus isn't investing into any real health. He's got a Rowo right now, but Lux should still be able to burn through that. And Varus, well, he's building just as a straight AD carry with only that dancer right now. So I'd really like to see that happen here as they extend the game a little bit more. And there we go, the Lux ultimate going out for a little bit of extra damage as they try and deter the blue team from taking this mid turret, and we're seeing the game kind of enter a stalemate right now.
Very much so. Looking at the kills, the gold, and our towers at the moment, we can see that the blue team is 2 kills ahead with a nice, I believe that's 3k gold lead, right? Yeah, 3k gold lead right now, coming up to, I believe, a 4k, let's say 2k gold lead, even because of that new, I'll say because of that 35k between 37k. Can't do maths either, obviously. They have got 2 towers ahead as well. However, the red team have got 2 towers ahead right now compared to the blue team. So in this situation, red team have a bit of a tower advantage, but kill and gold wise, blue team seem to have the stature, and they are going to try and even it up now.
Yep, and we do see that turret going down. Now, one of the things that was keeping the red team so far in this game was their map presence coming out with these towers. And of course, that global gold that they had once managed to obtain. Now that tower score is evening up, and we see the kill and farm difference really starting to impact the gold here. You can see them pulling ahead with that slight gold advantage, but that tower differential means absolutely nothing at this point in the game. And they're really going to have to do something impressive here to come back into this. And there we go, Jarvan coming in with that Shurelya's flash engage, but it will not be enough. His flash will be down for a while. A nice disengage on his part did not catch Caitlyn out. And now Lux coming in to go ahead and help defend this mid. I can talk. Blue team is getting really antsy for an engagement right now, but they have to be careful, because if they don't pull it off right, they're going to have things like this happen. And there we go, Karthus getting that ultimate on him, but he will immediately get shut down. Now the Cataclysm going out, followed by the Crescendo on the part of Sona. She cannot sit still here, though. And there we go, Sona getting down very low, but the shutdown going down onto Varus. And now we see just the bane of their existence right now. Everybody managing to get out of here in a 1-for-4 engagement on the part of the red team. They were just biding their time for the perfect engagement. They caught that Karthus out, and what happened when they went ahead and nailed him down? Exactly what we expected to see happen. They went ahead and lost that team fight hands down.
Blue team got way too antsy for that fight. They engaged way too early. Jarvan blowing his flash. Yes, he managed to get away just in time, but it did leave Karthus out in the open there, which means the red team immediately picked the right moment to counter-engage, and it was just so perfect because because all of the AoE that the blue team threw out, there was literally not one of them that really managed to hit someone, and that was when the red team managed to pull off their pretty much winning engagement right there, because the blue team blew all their AoE, didn't really hit anyone of importance. Caitlyn managing to get out of a lot of that CC there, and they just managed to kite them around long enough to be able to bring them down.
Yeah, now one of the things that we are going to see, though, is the fact that the red team hasn't completely come back from this. They've only got a 1k gold advantage right now, and while they're up a bit in turrets, which is going to give them that global presence, they're in a situation right now where they really have to bide their time for these fights. They have to wait for the blue team to make a mistake, to get too antsy for those team fights, to catch out Karthus or Varus and just smack them down as quickly as possible. And Karthus really is going to be their best bet right now. You could see him totally out of position before that fight started, got caught out by Lux, and you saw Garen come in and just immediately decimate him and really run with the advantage that they had and then just go in for the all-out fight. It's not even that nobody's ultimates really connected, it was more so the fact that Jarvan went in with his ultimate and Kate used her 90 caliber net to get over that wall, and that's one of the things that we're seeing is just really good positioning by these guys. They're waiting for their summoner spells to come up before they engage, because they know that the flash repositions are going to be really important. They know that having that 90 caliber net is going to be important, that those light bindings and ultimates are really going to be just game-changing differential, especially when it comes to knocking down this Karthus.
Absolutely, and right now that is what they're going to be relying on, but here we go.
Here's the engagement here. We did see Lux come in with that ultimate, the crescendo coming out here, and now Karthus following quickly after, and now we see an unfortunate situation where everybody is going to have that Karthus ultimate slammed down on their head. He will manage to pick up a kill as Hecarim takes down Vladimir, and now they have left Jarvan for last. And what a poor place he is in as that ace goes out, and that will be a 1-for-5 exchange on the part of the red team. Once again, excellent positioning. We saw them just biding their time until Lux could go ahead and land that binding ultimate combo. Absolutely game-changing. They've come in here with this twice now, gone ahead and executed it perfectly, and what resulted from it? They won these team fights. Absolutely no contesting. Oh,
absolutely.
Man.
They are just in such... They learned from those first team fights. They have learned that, okay, they're getting a bit too antsy for these team fights. They're going in there. We can capitalize on this. We can do something about this. Let's rework our strategy and make this work. And that's exactly what they've done, and just put themselves right in the winning seat.
Yep, and something we saw earlier, you know, when blue team was getting really, really antsy for those engagements, they essentially waited until Lux had the ability to go ahead and take down anybody that she wanted on that team. So they were essentially just biding their time until they had a